Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Hello, everybody.
Welcome back to the Welcome Home podcast. How are y'all doing? You already know what it is. Feel free to drop that in the comments. On the current day that you're watching this, at the current time, drop how you're doing. But how are you doing?
I'm doing great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got some hair in your face, I see.
Yeah.
So this is a little unusual. This isn't the home that people are accustomed to.
Yeah.
Yeah, you want to give a little bit of insight to where we are and what we're doing and why we're here?
For sure. For sure. So this is like us being in a answered prayer.
Yeah.
About a year ago, I had reached out to multiple like hotels, resorts, retreats, to see if they would want to like collab. So we get like a free stay in exchange for content, basically.
Yeah.
And none of them like reached back out to me. I guess it wasn't the time. It wasn't the time. So fast forward to a couple weeks ago, this place that we're currently staying at called the Retreat on the Hill reached out and they wanted to collab.
Yeah.
And so we're out here staying in exchange for content, and this is like such a dream for me as a content creator. And I think it's even cooler that I get to like bring you along and we get to do this together at this specific time.
Yeah.
Where we're both content creators.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it's
God
crazy.
is really good.
You know, it's weird that you say that I'm a content creator because I still don't even feel like I am. I feel like I just post content, but I'm not a content creator. On top of the fact that I haven't like put together a concept in a while. I've just been posting singing videos, which is dope. But
That's what the people want to see.
yeah. But to your point, God is answering prayers. We are content creators. We've been invited to a place literally just to make content. And to be very honest, I don't want to take any type of credit because this is all my wife. My wife was the visionary in this. My wife was the one who had the foresight as it relates to this. And so I'm just grateful to God for you and for her and for all the Lord is doing through her, the exposure that the Lord is giving her, and that most importantly, she is representing Christ. I don't know if you mind me sharing this, but when she started on her journey in content creation, it was really in college, but it kind of ramped up when we got married. And I take that back. Certain types of content ramped up, I would say.
Yeah.
And I remember just having conversations with her when we were engaged that at the time, honestly, were tough conversations because I was like, I don't know if I was the bearer of bad news or I don't know how she felt about that. Maybe she can give more insight to it. But I was just like I don't see the point in social media for selfish gain, right? A lot of the rhetoric was, how are you different from anybody else? How are you different from these influencers that you like or people see, even the Christian ones? How are you different? Like, it needs to be abundantly clear that you are a child of God, and this is the vehicle that the Lord wants to use to receive all the glory, right? And I remember at the time it was a tough conversation. I think a lot of it was just due to the fact of how I conveyed it, but also just, it being a little bit of a tough pill to swallow for her. Maybe you can correct me in that regard, but with time, there's been a lot of growth. And with time, I admire my wife and the content that she puts out.
Thank you.
I genuinely tune into my wife. I've told her this, and I said this in the last episode, like, it's just seeing another vantage point of the same life that we live and her viewpoint, how she feels about it. It's really dope. So, yeah, that's my spiel.
Thanks. I don't think that it was like a hard pill to swallow because I don't think that I was ever like, well, not ever. Whenever I started taking social media seriously, I don't think that I was like a worldly content creator.
No. By no means.
If anything, I feel like my content was wholesome just because, I don't know, there was really nothing exciting. Like, I wasn't like clubbing with the friends. I didn't, honestly, God covered me because if I had started social media sooner, like while I was in college or at least my first year, I low-key think I would have blown up at this point.
Yeah.
But I also think that there would have been a paper trail of like who I was back then. And I'm so glad that there's really no paper trail. Like, there's some pictures here and there on Facebook, but there really isn't like a paper trail to the extent of like where I was at in the world. So I'm so thankful.
Yeah.
But back to what you were saying, I don't think that it was like a hard pill to swallow. I think it was one, your delivery, but also two, like I was feeling like I was feeling like you had put me in a box where, okay, like I am a Christian. I do talk about God. I guess it's just like not blatant. So does he want me to like create sermons on my page? And I don't think that every Christian creator needs to go about it that way.
Yeah.
I think to a certain extent, my content is my daily life, but maybe like the caption has like a message that I felt like God wanted, you know, people to know, or I'm doing something so mundane and like the voiceover is speaking about, you know, Christ. But I think that that's like the art of storytelling though, as a creator, as a Christian creator. But yeah, I just kind of felt like you were like putting me in a box and I had to be something that I knew I never wanted to be. Like I don't want to be a minister of the word. I'm saying that I don't want to be a minister. Don't put me on a pulpit. Don't put me on a stage. Like that's not where my arena is, and I'm okay with that. So yeah, I think it was just more so delivery, and then feeling like this dude who doesn't even like social media is talking to me about social media, and I feel like he wants me to be someone I'm not. But I think that I've finally found my footing, and I think you understand my place too.
I mean, I think what you do now is literally what I envisioned. I think, and you know, I'll say this candidly. I think a lot of the times whenever I'm saying something, either because of like the passion behind what I'm conveying, or you know, the level of emphasis that I'm putting on a particular thing, it's easy to interpret it as something extreme. Never once did I expect you to sit on a platform, any platform on social media, and be, you know, spitting sermons. I personally don't necessarily even want to do that myself. The way that I like to convey messages that I believe are scriptural, are, you know, faith-based, they're not even like that at all. Right, and I think you can see that in my content. And so it wasn't a thing of like you need to wear a head wrap and, you know, and put your hands together. It wasn't any of that. It was, I think at the time, I would say candidly, I just wanted more of Christ to be seen and less of you. Does that make sense? And I think God can use you as the billboard, right? But you're the billboard, as in you're the blank canvas, and he paints on you, not like we heard this song earlier this week in the leadership meeting. Are people coming to the church and are they seeing my name on merch, or are they seeing Jesus's name? You feel what I'm saying? And I'm not, again, I want to be abundantly clear. I don't think it was like Bernice and all this weird stuff or all this vain stuff. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying that I think when people leave that page, they should leave thinking about life beyond the physical. They should leave thinking about certain topics and subject matters that will move them to want to find the answer in the Lord, right? And I felt like it was just nice, wholesome content. That's all it was, in my vantage point.
I don't know if I agree with your second point on that. I think that that is still putting people in a box. There are, for example, Christian creators that are in the realm of fashion, and they convey their message, right? Like I know a bunch of Christian creators that are girls that like their whole thing is like modesty.
Yeah.
And you know, they do the Bible verses here and there, but I'm not gonna lie, I don't leave their page like contemplating whether or not, you know, am I in right standing with the Lord. And I don't think that that's necessarily wrong. I think that just like there are many like parts of the body of Christ, Christian content creators can look different. And I'm not talking about like the ones who just slap Christianity and their content is like so far left that you're like, how are you at the club every single weekend and you call yourself a content creator? How are you half naked? How are you so vulgar in speech and you call yourself a Christian content creator? I'm not talking about those. I'm talking about like the ones that like you see that there's actually an emphasis to Christ. It just doesn't look like, oh my gosh, this is convicting me so much. It's almost like the conversation of like, there are certain churches that you go to that I call them like transitional churches. Like it's not a church that you like stay there forever, but it's a church where they give you God in like milk form,
Yeah.
not meat form,
Yeah.
but it's still crucial to your walk because it's something.
Yeah.
And then you go on to get more elsewhere maybe.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that there are Christian content creators that are kind of like in that space
Yeah.
where they too, like, we can't expect a Christian content creator who's like maybe been in the faith for like 6 months to a year,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
To be spitting out things that like they don't have knowledge on.
Yeah.
But they still want to spread the gospel and spread the message of Jesus in their art form.
Yeah.
It just probably won't be like, oh my gosh, this is so mind blowing. Like, I didn't know this revelation of Christ in scriptures this way. Maybe it's not that.
I don't know. I think what I'm saying, even now after these couple of years, it still might be misconstrued. Like, do the content, do the home decorating, do the hospitality, do the, I'm traveling somewhere, and do that, right? Like, that's not my problem, right? My thing is, there should not be an overwhelming amount of that in as opposed to like this points to Jesus. And I felt like at that time, if it's not, even if it's not like an overwhelming amount, it was like 50-50. And I would argue it should be more like majority Christ, and then you see him through the hospitality, you see him through the home decor, you see him through traveling places.
I get what you're saying. I probably don't agree that it was like 50-50.
No, I'm just saying, I just use that as like a loose figure. I'm saying even if it was.
Gotcha.
I'm not saying for sure this is what it was, right? So the point of the matter is, I think there's been so much growth on her end, not only in just like representing Christ, but just her content, period, right? Like at a particular point in time, mainly because we were fresh into marriage, you weren't necessarily doing hospitality style content, home decor, because we didn't have a home at that time.
Oh, I wasn't doing anything in the beginning of marriage.
Yeah.
I didn't want to.
Oh, okay.
Life was real.
Yeah.
There wasn't any content made in the beginning of marriage.
But yeah, I think there's been so much growth. I think that there's been so much evolution, right? And I admire your type of content, quite frankly, because it's authentic. I think it's real life. It's
Thank
real
God.
life with Christ at the center.
Amen.
And I think that's the most important thing. That's what I was trying to communicate. I understand that communication is multifaceted and it needs to grow all times. But that's ultimately what I was trying to communicate. And I think that is what has been achieved. And a lot of the reason why we're here in this position, the Lord has used you in that regard. So I want to give you your flowers in that regard. I want to prop my
Thank
wife
you, baby.
up for people, not only for people to see, because I believe I try my best to communicate with this, and I'm growing at communicating that with you, but just making sure that you get your flowers in this position, because we're not here because of really anything that I did.
Well, Shay drove us here, and today I feel like you were very intentional in allowing me to prioritize shooting the content, like before the podcast, before anything else. I think you just like let me do my thing, and I'm really thankful. I'm really thankful. Thank you.
But okay, cool. I mean, that kind of gives us a little bit of insight to like why we're here. I would go ahead and ask, like, how are you again, but where I want to pivot to is more so just around like the climate that we're in from a societal standpoint. So for those who will watch this or are watching this, we're actually recording this the day after, literally maybe 12 hours, 15 hours after the United States presidential election. So we had done an episode, I think it was episode 2, where we were talking about the election, and this was like 2 months ago. And so now the day has finally come where America has decided who the president is, and it is Donald Trump. I am going to go ahead and give the disclaimer once again, as I did before, that this is by no means a political podcast. We're not going to give our political affiliations. We're not going to give our opinions in the sense of, policies and who's the best candidate and all that. That we're going to leave aside. I think I just want to use that subject matter to talk about, the state of our country, our society, our communities, and, what you feel like is going on, because it's the most prevalent thing right now. So I'll throw it your way and see, what do you think? How do you feel about what's going on in society right now?
Like I said the first time that we talked about this, both candidates were trash to me. Whether it be because of character or whether it be because of policy. I don't necessarily think that was like one better than the other, but ultimately, God is on His throne.
Sorry, I just heard a
No,
yeah.
I did too.
Okay.
Ultimately, God is on the throne. He is King of Kings and Lord of Lords. So I'm just trusting in the Lord, and He knows
Yeah.
what happened. He knew who was going to be president, 2025.
Hmm.
So I'm trusting in Him. What about you?
Um, I had a conversation with my sister yesterday, and my sister, as I've mentioned, is in college. She's the last born, and right now I'm of the mindset that she wants to go into law and become an attorney, practice law when she graduates. That may change. That's why I'm saying that like that. But I was having a conversation with her yesterday, and my wife can attest to this. Like, although it was a amicable conversation, like we didn't leave upset or angry at each other, you could hear the passion, the level of disagreement. I would even go as far to say like certain frustrations that we had as it relates to certain viewpoints. My sister and I specifically don't see eye to eye on a lot of things as it relates to the various candidates and policies that were at the time at the table. I use that as a reference point to kind of uh, talk about society and how I feel like there is so much divide as it relates to politics today. There are some people that are like jumping for joy, and then there are other people that are like literally weeping. I saw a girl crying on TikTok today, feeling defeated as a black woman, as a woman and a woman of color, really, because she
Yep.
just felt like it's another situation where women of color are not heard, they're not really considered, this, that, and the third. And again, not getting into the politics of it all, I guess it's just disheartening the level of divide and dissension and division that there can be because of what this is. Now, granted, it makes sense, right? Because a lot of this, and who will run the country is predicated on how life, will be for us, right? Like, with one candidate, life will look a certain way. With another, it'll look a certain way. And so I can understand the deep-rooted level of involvement and investment that people have in whoever is running the country. But I guess one thing that has been floating around that, I will see most Christians post is, here I'll read the actual post so that I don't misquote it. But it says, elections will come and go. Don't let politics ruin your relationships. One of the truest signs of maturity is the ability to disagree with someone while still remaining respectful. And I think, again, with regards to conversation that I had with my sister and just discussions that I'm seeing on social media everywhere, that's the biggest thing that I would want to communicate. Um, amidst all of the division, opinion, and politics, like the common baseline is that we're all people. We all want a peaceful country to live in. We want a country where we can grow in a positive way. And so, for those who are listening, when you listen to this, wherever you are, remember that it is a fellow human being that is to your left or to your right, on your street, in your community. Despite them voting for a particular person or the other, understand that it is fellow human beings, right, that we are living life with and around. And I don't want to say I hate to be the guy that's on the fence and trying to be politically correct, but I genuinely mean it, right? Like, we can have our opinions about policies and politics, but at the end of the day, the president is the president, and now the conversation is about how does life progress from here. So yeah, that would be my 2 cents on that.
That's good.
Yeah. But okay. So with us being at this venue, at this location, I figured we kind of do a part two to some of the questions that we thought would be dope to ask each other to give more insight to who we are. So I had my wife kind of come up with some questions that we can ask each other, and so I'll throw
Yeah.
it your way to get us started.
Okay, I'm going to start off with a heavy hitter. What is your deepest regret, if you have any?
Uh, my deepest regret, and I mean, I'm just gonna say this for anybody that thinks this is a religious answer, is honest to me. I'm sorry if it sounds religious, I guess. my deepest regret is misrepresenting Christ. To get a little personal, just because it's the whole essence of these questions. I've struggled with lust. I had struggled with lust for like 15 years, right? Pornography, masturbation, things of that nature. And with that, I mistreated a lot of women. I can't say that I did anything, that crossed boundaries with women by the grace of God. But in terms of just like how I dealt with them emotionally, yet I'm still this Christian guy, this worship leader, whatever it may be, I think in hindsight, it's just like opposite directions. And a lot of the times I'll think about that internally by myself, and I'll cringe. I'll actually do more than cringe, to be honest, but I'm just really disappointed at how I represented Christ, because in a lot of these situations, it would be these people would meet me in a Christian setting, and what I'm doing is true, and then I get to know them or I'll interact with them, and I'm not maintaining that same stance behind closed doors. And so that's probably like biggest regret, just misrepresenting Christ in that way. Some people would say, thank God for grace. I am grateful to God for grace and the ability to grow. But I would have preferred to just be a heathen through and through and then come to know the Lord than know the Lord in part or know the Lord in certain ways and misrepresent him in those ways. But again, I thank God for grace. His mercies are new every morning. And yeah.
Well, you're not who you were.
Yeah.
And we thank God.
Yeah.
Is there a bug?
I don't know if it's a bug or some type of leaf. It was definitely a bug. I just wanted to keep you calm.
Oh, Shay.
Anyways. Okay, let's continue. Where are the questions?
I sent them to you on text.
Okay. All right, let's see what is looking juicy over here.
I was splintering my finger and it hurts so bad.
Yeah, we're gonna get that out later. I'm sorry, babe.
You don't like my questions?
Okay, I guess we can get into what is your biggest or best green flag?
You don't have to go in order. You know that, right?
Yeah, no, this is in order.
My green flag, my green flag is I know how to host somebody in my house.
No, a green flag is something that you see in somebody else.
No, I thought you were asking me about my green flag.
Yeah, so what would be considered a green flag to you? Like in regards to in somebody else?
Oh, in somebody else?
Because you know how like they ask you, what's your red flag? Isn't that like,
but these questions,
what is a red flag to you?
Okay, I'll answer
Right?
it how you were thinking.
Okay.
A green flag to some like that somebody else is honest.
Yeah.
Like just someone with integrity, someone who's like, yeah, honest. I really value integrity and honesty. So that's like the biggest green flag you can have in my book.
What if the honesty hurts?
It's still honest.
Yeah. Okay.
Like I would rather take that than you smiling in my face.
Okay. That's good to know.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
What's your favorite thing about being a man?
Is there? That actually might be interpreted wrong. Favorite thing about being a man. I don't want to be politically correct, but at the same time, I don't want to.
Oh my gosh, everything is politically correct.
No, because like if I now say something, it'll be turned as like, oh, he's misogynistic.
Shay, just have the freedom. If the people want to interpret it wrong, they'll interpret it wrong.
Okay.
Your people will not, like your friends and the people that know you are not going to interpret it wrong.
Okay. Favorite thing about being a man. That's such a specific question. I've never thought about that.
I know a lot of things that I love about being a girl.
Being a man. Being a man is hard.
I can name a few things that I think that is a favorite of a man.
I mean,
like for example, men can go jogging or walking at night freely.
Yeah, but that's not a favorite thing.
But there's so many advantages to being a man.
That's not
it's
like
a man's world, so you can't find one thing. I could get you 10.
Yeah, but you know what's funny thing about what you're saying?
Hmm.
This is your vantage point of being a man. So you're asking a dude, like, what his favorite thing about being a dude. It's a whole different perspective. Now, I'm not saying that this is going to be the same thing across the board for every other guy that asks this, but as far as me,
Mm-hmm.
that isn't like a favorite thing because I can walk at night. Like, okay, like I'll
There's
be,
so many other things, Shay.
most times, me personally, I'm not even trying to be out past a certain time anyway, so I don't know why I would be walking out. Anyways, everything about being a man. Shoot, I'll just say like I would say that there's there's a there's a need for me in society. I guess I don't know. Like I'm not just a prop, Like I'm useful to society in a lot of ways. I would say that's a favorite thing. Like I have worth and value. I mean, not necessarily in the things that I can do, but because I can add to society, there are things that I can contribute that are positive, that help it grow, protect it, provide for it. I guess I would be a favorite thing. But that in itself is also multifaceted because there are a lot of things that are not great about that either. So
I could say a girl would say the same thing. She's of use to society.
yeah, I mean, but you're asking me like it's really hard to see like favorite thing about being a dude. First off, I'm not saying this because I want to
Okay,
be a
then
girl.
let me flip it because I feel like your answer was really vague.
Okay.
What is the hardest part about being a man?
Okay, that's easy.
Okay.
Everything is on your shoulders. Everything is on your shoulders. Like all levels of like high priority responsibility. And I say this not because you guys don't have high levels of responsibility. Y'all bring forth life, right? I think that's if there's a top 5, that's like top 2, bringing forth life. But like everything that has to do with like providing, protecting, sustaining, obviously by the grace of God, like that is hard. That is
Gotcha.
hard. Being a man that is disciplined and patient enough to be emotionally aware and not be erratic. That is hard.
That is a way better answer. I was like,
That is very hard.
I said, huh?
I believe you are a mature man. I'm not saying that you're not a man because you're not able to do this, but you are a mature man if you are able to receive the emotions of others, be disciplined and patient enough to receive it, and also not respond in anything irrational. I think you're very mature, and I think
That's
that in
good.
itself is very, very difficult, requires time and growth, and so yeah.
That's good.
Yeah. What is one thing people misunderstand about you? I think that's a really good question.
One thing people misunderstand about me, um, gosh, I think people think that I'm. I think people think that I'm like. How can I describe it? I'm, I'm an extrovert,
Mm-hmm.
but I also believe I'm an introvert, and I think people think that I'm always on, meaning like, oh, like what they see online, it is what you're going to see in real life. But I think for the people that know me, they know that I'm not this like, hey, like I'm I don't think that I'm that most of the time. I think that I'm actually like to myself in my house, like, does that make sense?
I think there should be some clarity provided for this because
Okay.
I would argue that like 90% of the people that meet you would say otherwise. I think you're trying to say with regards to, and you can correct me if I'm wrong.
Mm-hmm.
I think you're trying to say with regards to relationships, not necessarily personality. I think as it
Okay.
relates to personality, you're typically like, "Hey, how are you doing?" Like we just went somewhere, and most people would say that's how you were. Actually, people told me that's how you were, right? But
Okay.
I think you're not the type of person, and as much as many people would think that if you're like, hey, you have a whole bunch of friends,
Yeah.
and that isn't necessarily the case.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Like in relationship, I think that because there's like a persona that I have, that they expect that in relationship too, like in like close relationship. But I'm actually not that person. I will probably not talk to you weeks, maybe months on end. And I don't know, I'm more like reserved with my, not reserved, but I'm more like, I don't feel like I have to be on with my friends. And so maybe that's like something that's like misunderstood. I do remember somebody telling me, oh, no, 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 you know what? Scrap that. I just got something. Someone once told me, I think you're disingenuous because like they weren't like they basically thought that I was sarcastic when I was honestly just being myself. And I think that that happens a lot with me.
Yeah.
That people think that I'm disingenuous, maybe even fake because of like how bubbly I am in real life. And I genuinely think I really am bubbly in real life though.
Yeah.
But I think that people think that like it comes off as fake, or when I'm like around a lot of people, I'm like, hey, hi, nice to meet you. Like I treat everyone like I've known them forever, and I'm not shy either. And to some people that comes off as disingenuous, when really like I think that that's like the God in me.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah.
Okay.
Would you say that that's like true?
Yeah, I think the reason people could think that is just because how can someone be this bubbly like all the time from their vantage point, right? So I think it could come off that way. But I mean, I live with my wife every day. At every waking moment of the day. Bernice is actually like a nut job.
A nut job is different than being bubbly, Shay.
No. She's like like virtually all the time. There are very select times she is quiet, solemn to herself.
That is not true.
Okay.
That is not true. Maybe I just feel like that internally. Maybe you're right. Like, but internally, I feel like I'm actually a really chill. I'm like a really chill chick.
Okay.
You know?
Okay. I'm not gonna say nothing else. That's cool.
If you could have every bad memory erased, would you?
No. No.
You want all your memories?
I don't want rose-colored glasses. No.
Oh, that's good.
I don't think it's realistic. I don't think it's Inside Out, the movie that we watched, the second one, we saw the value in the negative experiences, and I could talk about this for a long time, but I'll just say like it's valuable, and relating to our conversation of like, is God truly good? God knows about the negative experiences and all the negative experiences that you will have as he sends you to earth, and he says go through it, and he permits it, and he allows it. So there's got to be some value to it. Some would even argue if you tilt your head, you'll see it as good that you go through negative things. So no, I wouldn't remove those things.
I'm kind of 50-50 because a part of me thinks that like if you don't have any bad memories, there's this like naiveness or naivety.
Yeah, naivety.
Yeah, naivety that you have that allows you to be more free. Like, for example, if you have ever been in a relationship and you've gotten like cheated on, you're literally never the same person afterwards. However, if you had that memory erased, you could still be in the relationship and just be like, you can give your all freely because you've never gone through anything. So I'm kind of like, that would kind of slap. But then again, those bad memories only make you wiser and smarter. So, like, I don't know. I'm 50-50.
I think, negative experiences allow for you to understand the true definition of, like, good. Like,
this is if you're a Christian.
Yes. But this is a Christian this is a Christian podcast. So that's what I'm talking. I'm talking to my believers and hopefully people who are transitioning, right, from being an unbeliever to being a believer. But like when you go through negative things, as opposed to like having the perspective that is, man, life sucks, it should teach you to have the perspective that God is good.
That's good.
Yeah. Some people will call us delusional, but I think that's the Holy Spirit. Okay. What's more difficult, saying you're sorry or someone saying they're sorry to you?
Dang. Someone saying sorry to me, I don't think is difficult. In fact, I want my apology. But I think that after they say sorry, then it's like your job to like forgive. So like that's hard. But is forgiving harder than just saying sorry? Yes, it is. I would say someone saying sorry to me. Like, I think that for me personally, they're both hard.
Yeah.
Depending on what the topic is for me.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's harder for me to forgive, because at a certain point I'll just, if I want the conversation to be over, I'm just gonna apologize. Like that's how it is with my mom. Like, let me just apologize. However, if you really scarred me, and now I have to, like move towards reconciliation and forgiveness, and I'm really hurt and I don't want to, that's hard.
Yeah.
That's hard for me. Yeah. What would you think?
Sorry is like one of my most used words in my vocabulary. Like if God kept a tab of all the words that you've said in your life and how many times you said a word, I feel like that word is up there, top 10 for sure. So I wouldn't say that's difficult. I mean, to our episode last week, forgiving folks isn't necessarily the easiest thing for me.
Mm-hmm.
So I would agree with you in that regard.
Okay.
Yeah.
My question for you is, if you could choose between living a long ordinary life or a short life filled with distinction, which would you choose?
I don't know.
Really?
I don't know.
I would think that you would choose the latter, because you're like, I'm ready to go see Jesus. I don't want to go see Jesus.
That's my thought process. Yeah, I do want to go to the Lord. Like
And
for
you
those
don't
who
care
are
when.
for those who are watching and or listening, I'm not trying to live 80, 90, 100 years. I don't know what the heck is on this planet Earth that people want to be staying here that long. Bro, give me a good 60, 70, and I'm out of here, bro. Like, that might sound a little morbid, but there's nothing here for me, bro, besides, like, what God has called me to do. So, for
Yeah.
me, it's giving, like, I'm out of here. I'm out of here.
I
But,
feel like Jesus lived a short life with distinction.
yes, yes,
He's
yes.
33.
Yes, 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 yes. And see, that's the reason I would answer that as like if I had to. But I think the long ordinary life, like, let me just stick. Let me just stick. I would live the short life with distinction.
I'm actually on the other end of the spectrum. I want to see my grandbabies. I want to see my great grandbabies, even like if God allowed me, like I want to see it. I want to see. I have like a fascination with like elderly people and like the wisdom that they possess.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to see, I want to be that old lady. Like I want to be able to be like, oh, in my day we had TikTok. And they're like, what is a TikTok? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I want to be able to like see what the girls are wearing when I'm 80. And there's just something about living an ordinary life that there's like beauty in the ordinary.
Yeah.
And like I don't need a life that's like flashy, glitz and glam. Like genuinely I don't. Some would say, Bernice, you're speaking out of privilege. Like I've lived a really good life. My parents have provided us a really good life. But I like ordinary. I like ordinary. So I would do long and like mundane.
I think ordinary is relative.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think ordinary is relative because some people would say ordinary is living in a 2-bedroom house, 1-story, with 5 children, and
that is very ordinary.
Right, and then others would say ordinary is living in a 5-bedroom house with 2 kids, 2-story house.
But if you're in a house, you're living an ordinary life.
Again, I still think that it's relative.
Like I think it's so. I don't think ordinary is like, we know what's not ordinary. Not ordinary is Kim Kardashian's life.
Okay.
That is not ordinary.
Okay.
However, like if you're not millionaire, billionaire, celebrity status, I would even go as far as to say if you're not a politician, you live an ordinary life.
Okay.
So yeah.
All right. Well, we're running out on time here, so I'll probably say we'll ask 2 more questions and then get out of here.
Okay.
I don't know if I want to ask any of the questions on here. The ones that I've asked, I feel like are the best ones.
No, I think these questions are good.
Okay, let's do this. What did you want to be when you grew up? Like when you were younger, what did you want to be?
When I was younger, I wanted to be a fashion designer.
Really?
I don't think you knew that. Yeah.
I'm learning this for the first time.
Yeah, when I was a little kid, I wanted to be a fashion designer. I was like, I want to design clothes. I want to go to school for fashion.
Is it because of Cheetah Girls?
No, no, but I did. Oh, I know why. I
Why?
love Raven Simone.
Exactly.
I loved
Exactly.
Raven Simone. I
See,
love
now that
That's So
makes
Raven.
sense.
Yes.
That
Oh my gosh.
makes
I was
sense.
literally like, why is this? But
If this was a test, I would have gotten that answer right
you
because of
would
my
have.
deduction.
You would have. I loved Raven Simone. Like I wanted to be. No, I'm sorry. I loved Raven Baxter. I wanted to be Raven Baxter.
She is real life Raven.
I really think I am real life Raven Baxter.
Mm.
Like my life is just as weird as her life was on the show. But anyways, growing up, like elementary, middle school, I would even go as far as to say like high school. Like I wanted to go to the fashion school.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
What did you want to be?
Why?
Tell them. I actually want them to know. Actually want them to know. This will actually tell you what his political.
No, they won't. They actually won't give you insight to anything at all. I wanted to be a police officer. Like the earliest memory I had of wanting to do anything in life was being a police officer. But you know what's crazy? I think I had the heart for justice back then. I was
Yeah.
like 4, and the only reason I didn't do it is because my mom said, "God forbid," and she said, "Try again." And so,
And your wife also said, "God forbid, try again."
if I really wanted to, I would go and be a police officer.
Say, maybe married to somebody else.
I'm only getting married once. I've only been married once.
Yeah, you wouldn't be a police officer in this marriage.
Okay.
But there's so many other things that like I would be on board with.
Oh.
You also couldn't be in the military.
Military. So what if we get drafted in the next 4 years? We have to go.
We're going to Angola.
Neat. I would never be able to come back to America
It's
because
okay.
I would go to jail.
It's okay.
No,
You would be totally fine in Angola.
it's not about being fine in Angola. Do I want to live in Angola? Is the thing.
You do. That all the land you're talking about, we got it there.
Neat. I don't want it to be brown whenever I fly.
You
I don't want it to be brown when I fly in.
It won't. Angola's not like that. We're not Nigeria.
Okay, I think that's a good place to wrap it up here. We appreciate you guys tuning in for our Nomad episode, I guess. Watching this special edition. I would also go ahead and say that this is our 1,000 subscriber special edition episode. We also just want to go ahead and say thank you, a huge thank you for everybody that has tuned in. I've been fighting to get a certain number of subscribers all year on my personal YouTube, and in 2 months, the Lord has accelerated this channel. This is not my personal YouTube. This is our YouTube platform, and the Lord has accelerated, and it's just more confirmation that the Lord is on it. Everybody that's commented, that's agreed with us, disagreed with us, we're grateful that you even counted us worthy to give us a few seconds of your time to engage in our content. Season 1 is wrapping up soon. I think we have 2 more episodes after this, and we're just grateful to God for what he's going to be doing in the future. We're excited, and I'll also give you the opportunity to say anything if you want to say anything.
Yeah, I just want to echo your thank you. We couldn't be more grateful for the response that we've gotten, positive and negative. I love when we get messages, texts, DMs of people that are saying, they watch our podcast with family and friends or their person, and they have dialogue along with us, and how certain topics have really gotten them to think more about their relationship with Christ, most importantly. And I just thank the Holy Spirit for being a mouthpiece in those like really tough conversations that we've had on the podcast. And so I'm thankful for y'all. And I thank Jesus Christ for what he's doing here.
Yeah. But y'all already know where to catch us on Apple or Spotify podcast. If you are a viewer, more of a visual person, you can watch us on YouTube as well. Once again, we say a huge thank you. And without further ado,
bye.
Welcome home.